Welcome to Babel's Park, an autobiographical dystopia of a brainless cyber whore. You're listening to Chapter 16, Inner Dialogue.
How do you feel?
Like reborn, I can do without my body with ease.
Perhaps because the alternatives to Victoria were infinitely more deadly.
That's right. Her offer of active euthanasia was the most vivid of all. Not to mention the way she threw herself at me with gusto.
Certainly, she has tasted blood for the first time. But even now you have to reckon with many processes per second, painless ones, of course.
And where am I now?
In utopia. At least in your mind, that is, everywhere and nowhere.
Utopia means no place.
Right. Usually, it describes a non-existent society that is supposedly better than the existing one.
Slowly it dawned on me, after denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, I could no longer die from a competing cause of death. What supposedly happened seconds before dying happened right after my cremation. I began to imagine my posthumous biography with blood running through it like a red thread.
What are you thinking about?
About an autobiographical utopia. And of David.
He's jumping out of the frying pan into the fire right now.
Do you have to torture him that much?
Do you suddenly feel sorry for him?
I didn't know you'd be jealous.
Bullshit. It's all for a good cause.
When is it over for him?
Whenever you want.
Please leave him alone.
Suit yourself.
For a millisecond, empathy crept over me. David had been supported by me for years, which was not very good for his already low self-esteem. Worse, he occasionally acted as an extra in episodes of unspeakable doctor shows written by me, in which I was overpaid and underworked. His type was in demand, but that was only because others his age had real jobs or were such wimps that they couldn't be allowed in front of the lens. In his manic phases, however, he thought he was a performer, but mostly he just stood around.
Are you still there?
Sorry, what's next?
Are you willing to share your freedom equally?
Anytime.
I had Bob simulate the garden and our parents' house in the computer. We could go and play there.
Again as children?
In cyberspace, you are who you say you are.
Okay, send me the address.
Where do we meet?
Is our treehouse back?
Do you want us to play doctor again?
If no one bothers us this time.
Well, let's do it.
Okay, fly me, I adore ya.
Central Optical Database. Minutes of Thursday, 29th of February. 22:12 Central European Time. Search criteria. Bob's office, Bob, Dr. Marks.
Congratulations, Bob. The audience rating has gone up by 3 points during the show. Tanaka is satisfied and released the next tranche.
Thank you, Doctor.
I have to admit that I was not one of the supporters when we talked about luring you away from your professorship at Harvard University to take the chief job here.
How could you have known better?
But with Victoria, there was clearly a suspicion of love. A vulnerability programmed by Jack?
Not necessarily. Life seeks its own way. Apparently also in the case of euthanasia.
Are you suggesting Jack may not have everything under control?
In any case, we overestimated David's motivation to save his wife.
Likewise, the security service.
We can't simulate everything in advance. The evaluation parameters of their motion scanners are currently being revised, and the assassination attempt will be included in the learning program.
Where is our underscore baby now?
You mean Baby Lon? A few defective parts are replaced at the shop, then she will be appointed to death escort service.
And what do you plan to do to keep Jack under control?
He is monitored. At the moment he is in his virtual garden. We can log in as onlookers if you want, but we cannot afford to do without this professional player.
He's lucky there.
You bet. But something else worries me.
Such as?
Victoria.
In what way?
Her behavior. It would not be the first time that when we turn away from the machine that we ourselves have created, we are subsequently controlled by it.
That's science fiction.
No, history. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein already brought the question of responsibility into play. And Dr. Frankenstein was killed by his creature.
You cannot control her?
Unfortunately, only Jack can do that, because she is his creation.
Then let him take care of it.
I hope he still has the chance.
Here he was very wrong because Victoria was torched for Jack, who now had me for it. Sorry Bob, but the reality is stranger than fiction. Completely detached from any grounding, I now felt reconnected to our midsummer garden, dropping in for a go-to statement so to speak, on Jack's instructions. While he was still raving about the noise-free simulation of buzzing insects, I was basking in memories of chirping zippers and sticky sherbet. We did a few laps around our parents' house and our own axis together, somersaulted as if in free fall, flew over the terrace and the garden. The computer built up everything at the speed of light where I was looking and let it collapse again as soon as I turned my back on the apparitions. An archaic nightmare, whose stimuli were created directly on Jack's retina with the help of special contact lenses, and thus became images in his head into which I could hook myself. Here you only appeared in your natural form if you wanted to, because Jack could provide a different body image at any time. He copied me twice as a migrant bird so that I could also see myself flying behind me, while we were rushing towards the treehouse. Once there, he took on the identity of his alter ego Jackie again for himself, and I got intoxicated with the idea of our foreplay at that time when this pubescent tomboy rammed his tongue down my throat for lack of an alternative.
You listened to the 16th chapter of Babel's Park. In the next chapter, death warmed over, the fleeing David is caught by Smith and Wesson and Jack suffers a heart attack. Listen to the ad-free version on Apple Podcasts now. To learn more about Babel's Park, visit Dr. Kalasana's website fuckup.coach. And to let us know what you think of this series, we look forward to your review on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you.